Okay, my op-ed today over at HartmannReport.com is titled How Trump Could Make a Bird Flu Pandemic More Deadly Than COVID. And, you know, I mentioned this a week ago, and it's worth revisiting. The bird flu is H5N1 virus, and it has popped up among egg-laying chickens, but it has now spread to, they just found some dead seals. It has shown up in 920 counties across all 50 states here in the United States. It's now spread to wild birds. 863 people, according to the World Health Organization, have contracted this from birds. 456 of them have died. That's a 52.8% fatality rate. Ebola, by comparison, kills 40% of people. Now, the concern is that this is going to jump into humans. It's already jumped into mink, bears, and seals, and of course, wild birds. And if it jumps into humans, the odds are that it won't remain that lethal. It won't kill half of all the people who get it. Diseases, viruses that are that virulent, like Ebola, tend to be self-limiting because they kill their hosts so quickly and they freak people out. But even if it went down to 2.5%, lethality instead of 52.8%, which is where it's at right now, even if it went down to 2.5%, that would be where the Spanish flu was of 1918. COVID, by comparison, is 1.4% lethal among unvaccinated people. So that's the problem that we're facing, is this virus, and it has not yet acquired the ability to be transmitted from one person to another. But all it would take is for the virus to infect a person who already has regular flu, which contains the gene for that human-to-human transmission, and for that gene to jump to the virus, and boom, you've got a new human flu, a human H5N1 flu. And that could be very bad news. That could be very, very dangerous. And it would be doubly dangerous here in the United States. And the reason for that is that back before the Trump administration, the majority of Americans actually believed medical science. The vast majority of Americans, in fact, believed their doctors, they believed science, they trusted the CDC and the FDA. They believed that things were right. But Donald Trump, when he was president, wanted to get people back to work, particularly after the April 7th headline that said that, more black people were dying from COVID than white people. And that was kind of the turning point that was the turning point for the Trump administration. After that, they were like, let's get back to work. Because, he had an election coming and he wanted the economy to be vibrant. And in fact, the only executive order he used, under the Defense Production Act, was not to make tests or to make masks. It was to force black and brown workers back into slaughterhouses. And this is what he did. This is what he did. And as a result of all of his efforts to get people back to work by trash talking Anthony Fauci, right after this headline appeared, he called for Anthony Fauci to be prosecuted, on a tweet. So all of this stuff where he's trash talking the CDC, trash talking the FDA, now trash talking the vaccines, all of that has led to Americans no longer trusting, only 27% of Republicans today trust the CDC. Only 34% of Republicans even trust their own doctors. It used to be like with Democrats, 80, 90% of Republicans trusted their doctors and trusted the CDC. So now if we get a bad pandemic and the CDC or the federal government comes out and says, okay, here's the vaccine, let's do a mass vaccination program, let's try to stop this pandemic before it starts, ain't gonna happen, right? It just ain't gonna happen. So this could be really, really dangerous, all because Donald Trump and his racism and his desire to continue as Emperor of America, or even, expand that to become Emperor of America.